It has been quite the week. Trying to think of where we can start. Let's begin with the bad news. My very lovely, amazing, wonderful, stupendous, terrific job decided to cut my hours. They have an app that we use to look at our schedule, and I looked on there probably this past either Monday or Tuesday. And I went from having 4 days of work for the next 2 weeks, which, I was content with, to just three. And, I remember back in the earlier months of this year being frustrated with them because they would do this thing, and they still do it, but just not to me anymore, where they'll have you come and start working, and then after maybe like 2 hours, 2.5 hours, hey, you can finish this and then you can go home, or like basically, hey, we're greedy, we want some more dollars, we're trying to cut some people because corporate greed knows no bounds. So a person who we told would get this much for coming in this many hours today, yeah, you're only getting half of that. So their new thing they do is, instead of that, they'll go on their schedule, right? And then just revoke days. I mentioned that there was one weekend, and this was like peak frustration, where I always tell them I don't want to work on Saturday. Like, that's the one day I always have off. I just like having one day of the week to rest, kind of do what I want to do, etc. And like, as this whole house thing was getting heated up, I was really desperate for, as much money as you could reasonably make or as possible. So I picked up a shift for someone else for Saturday, and the idea was you're going to work the whole weekend, Saturday and Sunday. These jerks, after I got back on Saturday from the shift that I had picked up, deleted me from Sunday. So I took one step forward and one step back. And that is what this job has felt like, really, ever since they raised like, ever since the wages went up a little bit. They've been doing this where they just have people come in, and if they don't feel like having you for this day, or they want to tell you to go home early, right, so they can save themselves however many double digit dollars you can think of, then they'll do that. It is really obnoxious. So I said, I'm trying to make a year, and then I'm going to start looking for another position somewhere else. I mentioned a lot of the people I liked have been fleeing from that place because they're just so sick of barely getting any hours. There was a guy who I mentioned, he has the, I guess, dubious honor of being the only person from there I've really tried to have any kind of regular contact with outside of when we're working there. And he showed me his schedule where they didn't schedule him for a whole week, and I was shocked, because I always felt that they treated me like one of their lesser, more unimportant employees. So when I saw his schedule um, being as, I guess, bare bones, non-existent, that's where I was kind of like, oh man, I thought I had it bad, but I see the way they treat other people, even people that have been working there longer. They still get the short end of the stick. That's why I said it's such a uniquely lousy thing where you don't want to leave, but they're not giving enough hours, and then you're also worried that if you try to get a second job, they'll conflict with each other, and then you could end up having nothing. Just it is. Again, we'll see how this plays out. I'm gonna give them. We're in the end of September. I'm gonna give them about 6 more weeks, and then we'll see um, what decision I decide to make. just sad that these companies are like this. If I had my way with work, I would work at one place. Um, Even if it's not 8-hour shifts, right? I still, if it's like 5, 6, whatever, as long as it's like for most days of the week, either Monday through Friday, or maybe you get one day off during the weekdays, but then you work on Saturday or Sunday, or you get 3 days during the weekdays and then two, you work on the weekend. As long as it's something that uses me often enough to not feel like they're trying to um, have one foot in the door, one foot out the door. It's just really obnoxious. But yeah, that was the worst part of the week, all the hour cutting. Like they've done that before. But because it's been, this is like after that week where they used me for 6 days, I really did think for a second they might be getting better, right? They might finally be starting to realize maybe we shouldn't be so flippant with the people that we employ who stay with us month after month. But they went back to their old tricks, and they're going to pay for it. Like I said, I'm going to give them one more month and some change, and then I will start more aggressively looking for something else. The only thing that will cause me to not go through with just trying to bolt out of there is if they actually start giving me more hours again, but I don't think so. Yeah, these jobs are always playing games with people's lives, playing games with people's money. It's really sad. Um, I'm caught between a rock and a hard place with these projects because, on the one hand, there's a part of me that wants to just keep up with the Nixon stuff because I have Ambrose's volume, uh, and probably about, I think, 8 or 9 pages of a script for that, which is almost half of the script for it done. But then I keep thinking about New and Johnson Part 7 and how wild of a video that's going to have to be, just in terms of all the different books I'm using for it. It's like 3 or 4 different books, along with some print sources. And every estimation I make of it tells me that it's going to be either an hour and a half or 2 hours long. I keep saying to myself, I'll cut it, I'll split it up. But honestly, I don't want to compromise. Like, I'd rather have a video that takes a month to do, that is done to its completion, like everything is the way I think it should be, needs to be, etc., than have some video that I finished in a week or two that's, not up to whatever standard I like to believe I have. But yeah, earlier this week, I always go on eBay and just look at different deals that people have, because some of the stuff on there is really good in terms of just when people want to get rid of something, they will basically throw it at you. There was a person that sold me a book for $1, um, and with shipping altogether it was like $3, $4. They wanted that thing gone. There was this one bargain bin seller on there, and I'll probably have to look them up again. It's been so long, but I used to be able to get 4 books for $15. So they're always just giving me all these different discounts. I just got a little sick of a lot of these sources where, because again, the biggest problem with the print sources is that they're not a comprehensive, like when information is reported as it's happening, sometimes it can be inaccurate, sometimes it can't tell you the full story, which is why I do rely on a lot of books when they're available. But it still is frustrating having to keep jumping back and forth between those two things. But as things currently stand, part three would probably take about maybe 4 weeks. Like the writing of it, I could probably do if I'm not interrupted with errands and side quests and submissions, all the rest of the stuff, probably 3 days, 4 days. But again, with the things with the job haven't been exactly like because they've let up, I'm trying to capitalize on it by just doing some more stuff. But I still wouldn't try to give a proper release date. As of for my mission with a lot of this stuff is to have like a consistent schedule with it. Like, hey, look, every 4, 5 weeks, 6 weeks, try to put one of these out. But the biggest issue is just gauging the period of time that it takes for this stuff to be done. Oh man. And of course, my favorite part of this week was the people that were losing their mind over that video of Harris. It's funny how you can have a clip of someone and they're talking for maybe 2 minutes, 3 minutes, and you can respond to it. You can reply to what they were saying, and you'll have these people that will like come out of the clear blue sky and they'll just they'll respond to the title or maybe the clip itself, but when it comes to like your actual commentary, no response, no reply, no rebuttal. It's just so weird, man. It's always the most random thing that gets traction on here, I tell you. Personally, I was more interested in the whole saga with Melania, where she gave her first interview in 2 years, uh, and I was just so captivated by how we. At first, when I did the video, I was like, "Oh, this they, 2 years to get an interview, and it's only like what 12 minutes, 13 minutes," and then I found out from Trump's official channel that it was like half an hour. So I went over there and watched it on that side and got the whole thing. No, I'm just tired of a lot of the insanity with these employers and the stupid stuff that they do. But the problem with corporations is that profit is always the main thing they're concerned about. And sometimes in the pursuit of their greed, they will overstep their boundaries and then only be able to realize it when it's too late. Like I mentioned during the what could have been video, how if my job had not have tried to nerf my discount, I'd still like get something from there when I'm hungry or getting ready to start a shift or whatever. But because they're so ridiculous and greedy and they want that extra $6 so much, it's just like, okay, well, I guess you guys don't want any business. I don't know who this person is. Oh, they actually, wow, YouTube, they added back the feature to go and look at the channel. I thought that was gone. I don't know who this my seminar person is. They just appeared out of nowhere. They appeared out of nowhere. Uh, they wrote 2 comments, but couldn't leave one like. So it's a lot of stuff that's upside down. I don't know why you guys do that. You know that when you hit the like button, you're boosting the engagement. But I guess yeah, it's still engagement. I remember one of my favorite responses on here was the guy was like, "Hey, so if you don't like someone's content, you'd be better off not watching it or liking or downvoting or leaving a comment because you're boosting the engagement of it." And he said, like most people are just too will never be able to like put two and two together. Of if you don't like something on this site, do not engage with it because you're assisting it with being pushed in the algorithms. Oh man. So I don't understand the logic of the choices made by people on here. I mean, if you left a dislike and you apparently don't like my stream, why are you here? I remember this one guy used to stream, and he had and I've never understood why people do this because I think it's really dangerous in terms of just you're messing up your own stuff. But he used to have this feature where you could see the chat on one side of the screen, and there was someone that came on there, and I guess they were agreeing with him, and it took probably I think like 3 replies later, and they were insulting him to where he had banned him or I guess blocked him or this like. But what was the point of coming on there and agreeing and like writing all this stuff? He was just going to turn that quickly. And yeah, I thought at this time of day all the crazy people were usually asleep, but I guess one of them stayed up past their bedtime. I'm surprised. I guess it makes sense because I normally don't, like, if I watch a live stream, it's usually when it's not actually live and it's me commenting, so maybe I just haven't picked up on it, but I remember them removing the feature to even be able to go to someone else's channel, so it must have been recently brought back, like, very recently, like, in the past few weeks or something, because I haven't seen anyone mention, "Hey, you can go and look at the channel of people that leave, comments again." I remember this one guy would do these streams, and he would have this, I guess, woman that came on there and wrote stuff, and he was like, you guys are trying to flirt with her. You're the reason why we can't click on anyone's channel anymore." Yeah, it's just been one of those weeks. I think tomorrow's gonna be one of those days because I have to go back up there and deal with the oh so lovely McDonald's where you can get free Wi-Fi, but not a free soda. Oh yeah, I picked this up. I think it was what was it? Maybe last Tuesday, last Monday, last Tuesday, at the start of the week. And the first thing I noticed about this particular copy was that it's in this nice wrap, like protective slipcase. And man, I wish every book I owned, I could just put one of these over it to keep it protected. Because when you have a lot of these hard covers and that, you know, dust jacket, it gets dirty so fast, or screwed up or nasty looking or whatever. So this is a nice little surprise. Um, I probably would prefer to make it more through the Nixon documentary, but because Pat's birthday, I think he has in March. I would actually do a whole video about her, just call it the depressing life of Pat Nixon. Like when you lose both of your parents when you're a teenager, and you have to put yourself through school, and then you meet this man that you are so in love with to where you will help him and throw yourself into his career even if it's stuff you don't want to do, and just keep compromising and following along with all of his wants and desires, and then when he screws up and destroys his career, you end up like falling with him even though you didn't do anything wrong. It's a really sad state of events. And I would save this same point for that video. I would say, with someone like Laura, for example, or hmm, who's someone else that left off? Because like Bush 43 left in disgrace. But just as an example, someone like Laura uh, still gave speeches, made public appearances because, and ironically enough, even Nixon himself still was a recurring person, or he had by the time of his passing, almost 20 years after leaving the White House, very much rehabilitated his image. But because Pat just sort of stayed at home, really had no public life after her husband's elected office career ended, she doesn't really have a like she never got that same rehabilitation. Just was like, all right, I'm done, whatever. I'll just stay home. But yeah, she could have a whole video about her. I don't know. I've always been fascinated by people who don't want to do something and it's like thrust upon them. Like maybe you're not the most outgoing person in the world, but you have this partner, romantic partner who wants to, run for office and you want to help them. So here you are going out and smiling and shaking hands and, just the various things that people do if they're wanting to succeed in that profession. So as you can never believe the numbers on YouTube. I looked on there and it was like, oh, it's one, then it was four, then it was one again. Can't trust anything. I figured the four was probably inaccurate because I'm like, how the hell did you go from one person to four and then like it's back to one? Like, did they all just decide as a group, I'm good? Oh, I guess I should mention the reason I have that title. After 3 months of whatever this is, I finally got a microwave and it feels so nice to just be able to warm stuff again. Like to just I mentioned a lot of times I prefer the market to just eating any of these fast food places because you can go to the market and get deals that are just so much better than a lot of this other crap. I went there yesterday and they were selling soups for I think it was $1.79, $1.75, some like a dollar and some change, and they had a deal where if you buy five of them, then they're a buck each or 99 cents each. And the way my metabolism works is that usually because these aren't like big soups or anything, but because of how cheap they are, you know, like I had two yesterday after, or I guess I should say yesterday evening. I got back around 6. And so far, the only craving I've had since was I think a bag of chips I had, and that's been it. Oh, I think I can hear the rooster. This is its usual time, so I guess I shouldn't be too surprised. It's just a prerequisite. Whenever you stream, get ready for the rooster. That thing knows what time it is. It's like it's 4 a.m. It's funny. I went over to this person's house yesterday. They live about 10, 11 miles away from me. And I parked somewhere on their street that's different from where I normally park because that part wasn't blocked off by cars like it usually is. And I heard a rooster and I just went, Wow. So I guess in every neighborhood, there's just this random animal. And I'm not even talking about like the dogs and cats that people usually have. There's just this random animal just just making noise at whatever hour of the day. It's crazy. Just lovely. I did notice a trend where I get when I get soup from the market. I usually because they're mostly in these like hot or spicy flavors, and I'm not. I guess I've always, even back when I was a kid, like I've been fine with foods that are spicy, but if it's too spicy or kind of like maybe it's a combination of it being hot, like burning hot, or like the actual heat of it, and then also hot in terms of like hot sauce. Uh, so because of those like factors, it makes me not want to have it. Just kind of like, okay, well, I think I prefer to like pass on this. That's why when I get them, I usually don't even use the actual like sauce packets. Just set it aside. Mm. I don't know, some of that stuff just burns my tongue. Like I was on the phone with someone yesterday, and we were talking about, just how are you, etc. And as I was speaking to him, I started coughing because of how just uncomfortable I felt from the taste of the soup. Like taste wasn't bad; it just was really spicy. It was like, and I guess I felt like something hooked in my throat. But yeah, in general, I like those, and now that I have the ability to heat things up again, it's gonna be a sad day for these fast food places. Like if I can survive off of just soups and the occasional, because again I don't have a freezer. TV dinner, I'll probably only. I think the only place related to like food wise I'd go is probably just to maybe Starbucks, because I haven't been there in a long time. It's been, yeah, months. Damn. I was thinking about it. Like the last time I went to a Starbucks was that one stream I did that wasn't even an hour long, where I was like out there just using their internet, because at the time it was like the first 3 or 4 days of being over here I didn't have internet. So I was like, damn. But yeah, I try to use the days where I'm off to get some rest, and also to work on stuff that might not be possible to do during the regular week. Like I'm hoping that for tomorrow I can try to read through most of this. Again, I mainly been using the other one, but I'm sure there's information here that will be valuable as well. Try to incorporate it. Hmm. I'm trying to think what else would I have to say here. I stand by most of what I said and what could have been. I think it's nice to think about alternate versions of stuff that hasn't or that didn't happen because it really like grounds you in this idea that these things are preventable. You weren't just like cursed or something, right? And because I do think if we just for a second go, hey, you know what? There are jobs that hire people full time. Um, there are uh, people who actually meet someone that wants the same things as them, and they get married, and whatever other joint venture stuff they do together. And again, that central point of things don't have to be this way still stands. That in a lot of cases, just things don't have to deteriorate to the point that they're in. This guy was telling me the guy that I worked with, he was like, "Oh yeah, send me your Discord." I said, "Man, I deleted that thing. I logged out and I didn't log back in. I think in like 2 or 3 weeks. Too many clowns." Oh boy. I really the one thing I do despise about my job besides the hour cutting is just how bored I usually am. Like, it really does feel like from the time I get in there to the time that I leave, I'm just thinking about, okay, 4 more hours left, 2 more hours left, 3 more hours left. I don't know. I just think it's so depressing that because I try to distract myself, try to have some fun, make my jokes, whatever. But what's a good way of putting it? As far as I can remember, when I was in school, I didn't just think, "Oh man." Well, I did it more so when I was in high school, but like preschool, middle school, I didn't just go, "Oh, 2 more hours until school's out," or 3 more hours until school's out, 2 hours until lunchtime. And I damn sure didn't do that on the weekend. On the weekend, when I got to actually do things I wanted to do, we didn't have enough time ever for, in terms of just like, hey, it would be nice to be able to do this. But no, ideally, I try to do at least a good chunk of stuff on the days when I'm off, so that I don't. It's good putting it. I don't feel as though I am somehow like losing time by like working a job because obviously you're doing it for money, but I um I try as hard as I can to not have like a regret in terms of, oh man, I have to clock in, and man, if I was, I guess, self-employed or making, a living off of either, this or something else, I could just do stuff I actually want to do for 5 hours. Yeah, these trolls, man, they are getting less and less creative. And they always have these blank accounts with no videos, usually some weird name, usually some random picture. Just it's like they have a playbook. First it was Butt Muncher 45, then it was Ball Cruncher 666. Now it's my seminar. It's like, man, get some better names, have some originality. Oh boy. I thought because I took a nap yesterday evening. Yeah, when I got back, like I ate and I just went to sleep pretty much right after that. I thought because I took a nap, I probably would have a little more energy than normal, but I guess not. I think I might have. Well, it's not cold. I was going to use a monster. That's my last resort for energy. I mentioned that there was that one. I think it was the Christmas Eve shift I had last year, where because I was sick or I had a cold, I didn't actually like sleep at all the night before, and I got up there with after taking a 5 hour energy, and like they revealed that the shift was like halved. Like I was only going to be there for 4 hours instead of the seven or whatever that they said it would be, 3 hours, whatever. That's like the only time they gave me less hours, and I wasn't dissatisfied because I was just so tired. Whole shift just. Some of these jobs, they just get so damn aggravating in terms of like just you don't have the stamina for it. Like I'm sure somebody will criticize me. Oh, you should have you should have done this. You should have had more sleep. It's like, yeah, I should have, but I didn't. I tried. I laid down. I closed my eyes. But when you feel sick, I mean, sometimes it's just hard to do it. Telling you, I had my eyes closed. I wasn't looking at my phone, computer, nothing, and I just could not sleep. That was one of the worst nights I've had in recent memory. It was yeah, I took half of the 5 hour energy, still like this. And when they said that our shifts were only half or whatever, I was like, "Oh, thank God." God, it's so surreal to think about just things and just relative to time. They have this section where they mentioned Pat's first opinion of FDR, and I was like, just thinking, like, wow, she was because Roosevelt's election was in 32 and they took office in 33. She was born in 1912, so she was 21 when he became president. And that's interesting to me because I always have to remind myself of just like, wow, this person was, here's this event where, I mean, I've only known one person that was alive. Well, I take that back, two who were alive before FDR's term started, and one of them was a baby when it happens. They, of course, they couldn't even remember it. So it's just wild, like thinking about just how here's something from almost a full century ago, and there was a person who was like, "Oh yeah, I remember when it happened." Oh man, I'm telling you, I'm really losing my mind with a lot of the stuff going on now. Like, I'm sure I'll be able to find some other job somewhere if I, go dig through the trenches hard enough. But like, I'm not kidding when I say one of the most miserable things for me is looking for a job. It is always obnoxious. It is always drawn out. It's never just clear cut. Hey, we want you. Hey, we don't want you. In like in almost every instance, you have to just keep just digging and digging and digging and digging for like the most tiniest scraps of stuff, and it drives me crazy. It really drives me insane. So I remember that one restaurant where I applied, and they scheduled me on their computer, so it's not like it's just word of mouth. Like I applied, came in there, like, well, our manager is not here, but if you keep calling up and she happens to be here, then you can come in for your interview. It's like I have to like you guys are gonna stand me up for the interview that you knew was scheduled weeks ago, and then I'm supposed to just keep searching and hunting down your man. Like it's stupid. But yeah, those dead ends really that's the main thing I'm annoyed by. Like I fully expect there will be several, just inevitably, right? Places will waste their time. But man, who knows how long that could drag out? Because I've told the story before. For my current job, I had to apply for 30 positions, and they only took me after how many responded back? I think it was like 5 wanted interviews, 6 wanted interviews, and then the rest either didn't say anything or said thanks but no thanks, right? The usual routine. Mm. So that's one thing I'm really not looking forward to. But they're pushing me in that direction. And it's always funny thinking about people say someone should just, oh, you just get a job, you know. That's the line they always use. You want money? You want to have like the ability to take care of it? So just get a job, and then you get the job, and if they're not cutting hours, they're barely paying people, or just it's all just so pointless. I said before, the only way you can make any money off of working one of these jobs is being a manager. Like if you're not a manager, you just you might as well just like walk away from it. They're the only ones who can go up there and, oh, okay, I only work 4 days this week. Well, it's still 40 hours regardless. They won't even give you 7 hours, but they'll give managers 10. I take it back. They won't even give you 6 hours, but they'll give managers 10. They won't even give you 4 days a week, but they'll give managers 5 or 6. It is insane. Like I said, corporate greed is not doing anyone any favors because the more people that they're disenfranchising like this, the more of us are going to just keep quitting, and then they'll have to hire more people who will eventually get sick of it too, and just have this revolving door of people coming in and out here, these musical chairs. The whole thing is so stupid. I'd really like to be able to take care of myself. Sure would be nice if my job would actually give me some hours. Oh, they won't? Well, I guess I just have to get another one. Mm. Oh, where's the other book? I might as well go and pick it up because it looks like it's gonna be one of those types of streams again, unfortunately. Ugh. Oh man. I'm not kidding when I say we're going through probably what must be at least 4 different books for one video. Because I'm gonna use some parts of Caro's last volume, um, the book that the Dalek book, second volume of that. Uh, Possibly Reedy's book. I have to see because if he had a line in there about how he believed Johnson was better as a president when he wasn't serving his own term, and I wanted to incorporate that because that's his former press secretary expressing that opinion. It's a pretty notable position for someone that high up for him to have. But this was actually another one I was going to try to use. Jack Valenti's A Very Human President. It kind of is something that was released about, what year did it come out? I think 76. It's about 3 years after he died. Yeah. But no, I'm just trying to research this stuff and see what I can get. The only other one I would attempt to get now before fully pursuing making that video is probably how do you say his last name? Joseph Califano. That would be another one. Because he has a book on Johnson's White House years. I think would be worth trying to read or at least go through. Honestly, if I had the money, I would probably get everything that has been written about him by the people that knew him. Because I do think there's some value in seeing like what do the people who actually knew this person have to say about him. Um, it's not just random commentators, talking from their ivory tower or wherever the hell else they are. It's actual friends and aides and associates and just different people that were familiar with the person, just giving their position on the man. In other news, I never thought I'd make a Dragon Ball video again, but I've got a pretty strong inclination to do one. Yeah, the roster for Sparking Zero finally, I guess, was revealed all the way through, and which I think it was Super 17 and who's the other one? Nova Shenron that were like not part of the base game, which to me makes no sense because if you already have Baby and Omega Shenron, why would you not have the other major villain of the series? Like what is that? And then and this didn't surprise me because I mean this the original series has been getting neglected, for as long as I can remember. They cut all the Dragon Ball characters, like all the ones from the original series. So no child Goku, no King Piccolo. It's just stupid, man. Everybody wants to go, oh, just buy the DLC. It'll probably be in the DLC. It's like, well, first of all, you don't know that it will. Um, but secondly, like, I don't think a person who is told Sparking Zero is the sequel to Budokai Tenkaichi 3, I don't think a person who's told that would be wrong for being upset that characters who they had in the base game, they now have to pay extra money for, or they're just not included, period. Like that's stupid to me. I mean, imagine paying for Kid Goku. Like imagine having to spend extra money on a Dragon Ball game to play as Goku. And that's not nuts. It's really sad too, because it's like there are some characters I know will probably never make it into any game, even if they make sense. Like um I mean, you could make GT Gohan a costume for adult Gohan, but like GT Goten, for example, never will be in any fighting game as long as I don't think so anyway. Um, but it's like even basic characters who are playable in all these past games because they're so greedy, they're starved of content. They don't want to actually make something people would get excited to not see in the base game. Uh, they want you to piss out more dollars for stuff that should already be there. Like you play Tenkaichi 1, 2, 3, you get all the characters from the original series, or at least a good chunk of them. But now, if you want to play as uh, Kid Goku, you have to pay extra money for the man. Say, I'm so sick of DLC. DLC has allowed companies to put out unfinished games and have their blind supporters believe, oh well, it's okay that this game is like missing basic stuff. We're eventually going to get it at some point. DLC was the beginning of the death of gaming. Like I miss the days where a company would just put out a game. That's it. If we didn't satisfy you to every degree, well, we'll try better. We'll try harder and better with the sequel. I am so sick and tired of every time one of these games gets revealed. Hey, there's this like basic thing missing. Oh, don't worry. DLC will make it available. It's like, how did you like Fighters? Like, it was okay. I mean, it didn't really make any sense that the roster was so small in terms of who you could play as. Oh, don't worry. If you want to play as TN, you just have to buy the DLC for the was the 23rd Budokai. It's like, why do I have to like imagine spending like buying DLC just to play as TN. I remember when that game came out, and I was like, "This roster is kind of lame." And then they were like, "Well, every character needs to play differently." And then when they started, like revealing who else can be put in there, and the final character was Lab Coat 21. I was like, "We don't get Kid Gohan, we don't get Super Boo, we don't get." I don't think that game has Deborah. No, like basic character, even one that a lot of people want represented more stuff. Nope, we get the same character, but with her other appearance, which in all seriousness probably could have just been a different outfit, but whatever. Hmm. I told this one person, I said, you're because everything is so slanted towards super, even when it doesn't make sense, you're more likely to see all of the Universe 6 team from the Term of the Power be playable before you get any characters from the original Dragon Ball, which is nuts. Because think about most of those teams is that they have like they all like at least between Universe 7, actually, well, I'm not going to count them because that's the main universe, but between like Universe 6, 11, and 12, or was it 10? Whichever one has the Ribrianne. But yeah, between those universes, they all have about maybe three characters who like it makes sense to stick in stuff. But man, when they reveal what was it, Kakusa, the girl that was on Ribrianne's team is like being playable. But then Vados apparently isn't. I was like, that doesn't make sense to me. Like they removed one of the main villains of GT, but they're gonna put in not even the main person from their universe in the tournament, like just a background fighter. Just weird, man. I was really beating myself up over not having a gaming computer anymore. Haven't had one since May of last year. Wow. Uh, but if games are going to be like this, and I have to buy a computer and then buy the game, or whatever, then I'll probably just say forget it. I'm very serious when I say that I don't see the point of playing a lot of this stuff if they're just going to put out things that are not ready, not completed. And the problem is, because like I see where fans are coming from. They say, "Oh, well, if we complain enough and they put it in, what's the big deal, right? We got it anyway." It's like, yeah, but these companies, if you buy these games, are always going to feel like they can just throw whatever garbage your way, and you will take it. And I even, it's not even like saying the gameplay is bad, but it's like a big appeal of a fighting game is the roster. Um, the roster is a large part of why people play these games, why people get excited for these games, and you can't just like make one of these, leave out basic characters, and not have some people who get pissed off. I don't know. I hope we can get some better games at some point. It's funny too because I remember I was thinking about Kakarot. I was like, man, the only character I wanted playable in that game, and it still wouldn't have been that great of a game if he was, but the only character I wanted them to make playable that wasn't playable was Krillin. That was the only one, and because they're so obsessed with Saiyans and they think that nobody wants to play as any of the humans, no matter how important they are to the story, it was just like, well, too bad. Mm. Oh man, look at this amazing Dragon Ball RPG where you can't even get any real experience points without having to fight like a million enemies. That was one of the points I made. I said, "What? Why even bother like playing through this game if you really don't even have the option to actually make your choices matter?" Like if you play an RPG and you get so little experience from fights that are optional, like in the wild, whatever, to where it just doesn't make a difference, then why even bother like with any of that stuff anyway? And I've always been someone that likes to level grind, likes to be, prepared, I guess, in the sense of, hey, let me go and train over here or whatever. And it's such a slap in the face that the mechanic of that game really discourages you from even like trying to do anything like that because you just get so little experience where it's like, what's the point? And the answer is there is none. Oh, an odd game. I don't know. Dragon Ball has been dead for a while. The manga's been on hiatus for how long? Oh man. It's amazing how somebody can make a comic where it's just black and white, like there's no coloring of it. They only have to do it once a month, and then they still find a way to just do it even less than that. I don't even remember when the last time a chapter came out. It's been so long. Like I have to manually look it up. Um, Dragon Ball Super manga. I was like, is it over? Did they cancel it? Did they say forget it? We can't. We know nobody wants to read this anymore. Yeah, last chapter was in March of this year. So let's see: April, May, June, July, August, September. So they've gone 6 months without a new chapter. And remember, we haven't had a new show. Well, now Die Mouse coming out next year. I guess this year, it's sometime in soon or whatever. But we hadn't had a new show in years. 6 years. So the only thing we had that was like continuously going, even that has stopped. And Toyotaro is so lazy. Could you imagine having a job where all you have to do is just draw 40 pages a month? That's it. You could draw 2 pages a day or one page and a half on average and still like get your stuff done. And he really just cannot do it. Oh, I am working on something. I am coming up with the next story. If we don't get any more chapters for the years out, I'm not even going to be surprised. This is an era of laziness. People get paid to do nothing. It's just like when I was looking at the schedule for the managers at my job, and now some of them are there until 4 in the morning, and this is like after everybody else leaves at 1 or 2. I'm like, man, those guys aren't doing anything other than just sitting there collecting their check. There was even one manager who was bragging about making $100 every 3 hours. So that's what these people do. They just look for any way they can to, and I mean, I don't. Hey, I'm the last one to sit here and talk about the virtues of making sure that you are always on the clock working, because they don't care about you, so you shouldn't care about them. I'm just saying it's really funny that there are some people where they just have it made with these jobs that they can just sit around, count something, just look busy. Ooh, I'm on the computer and I am, so helpful to this place. Yeah, 6 more weeks for them to keep playing these games. It's gonna be real annoying having to apply for all this stuff again and getting and just, like, the constant calls, "Hey, so can you come in tomorrow? Can you come in next week? Uh, if we like your resume." Well, I'm already dreading it. I can hear the lies, I can see the fake smiles. It is not gonna be pleasant. It's like they get together and just plan this stuff out. But yeah, I'll probably, I'm off on Monday, let me see. Mhm. Uh, yep. So, I'll reconvene this at that point because I am getting kinda hungry now. Thanks for watching, have a good rest of your weekend.